What's going on, everybody? And welcome to the Ask a CISSP podcast. This is a complimentary podcast to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk to the latest and greatest cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, such as my guest. Welcome to the show, Kenneth Ellington. How are you doing, sir?
Pretty good, pretty good. I'm glad to be on, Ryan.
All right. So this is our first time actually speaking to each other. I wanted to have as much freshness in the interview as possible, but I actually ran into you on LinkedIn. So a friend of a friend likes your post saying that you wanted to be on several podcasts for this month to promote your brand and what have you. And I was like, man, listen, I got a podcast. So let's make this happen. And sure enough, you replied and we were good to go. So I greatly appreciate you being on the show. For all of those out there who are listening to the show, so the Ask a CISSP podcast is a complement to the Other Side of the Firewall. So the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, we have 4 episodes a week. Monday and Tuesday are topics. Wednesday is our discussion, and then Fridays we talk about everything else. On this show, we do more interviews, right? Like we like to talk to people who are out there glass ceiling breaking, starting their own brands, things of that nature, as well as people who are trying to break into cybersecurity. So we have more of a conversation between myself and people of color who are trying to either break in or give a hand up to those who are trying to get into the field of cybersecurity, which we talk about all the time. We only make up 9%, which used to be 7%. So we are increasing our numbers, but still it's too small, right? So I love that the platform highlights people, tries to bring us all together and promote our stuff. So without further ado, I'll start asking you my questions, right? Some icebreakers. So who are you? Where are you from? And what is your cybersecurity origin story?
Sure. So my name is Kenneth Ellington, right? I'm from Tampa, Florida. I lived there for the majority of my life. So I would say probably maybe 16 years. I moved to Dallas, Texas, back during COVID, which was a absolutely insane time. Funny story about that. So I graduated from University of South Florida for the degree in cybersecurity. Because of COVID, I got no graduation. I got no walk day, right? It was literally just, they sent out a video like during May and like, that's it, basically. Because of COVID, right? We couldn't do in-person stuff, which is terrible. I lost all my graduation parties, which I'm so pissed about. But that's fine though. So they gave me a job offer back in July, and I actually moved to Dallas during 2021. So my first time to Texas was look for an apartment, and then the second time was actually move. So it was a big change for me, right? But I'm glad to be here. I do love living in Texas. It's been pretty awesome so far. And what I do for what I do for a living is I work in cybersecurity. I specialize in SIEM and SOAR technology. So I work as a cybersecurity consultant at one of the big 4 accounting firms. I specialize in SIEM and SOAR. So think of Splunk, QRadar, XSOAR. What does IBM call it? I think Resilient or SOAR now, because they're very uncreative for everything. But I work with those type of technologies. Think of like endpoint solutions. So I help design, build, and scale systems for my clients for the solutions. And I actually own my own company called Ellington Cyber Academy, or ECA for short. And that is a e-learning platform designed to teach and train IT and cybersecurity professionals and those specific technology, because that's my niche. So think of SIEM and SOAR again. So we train individual professionals and actual businesses on how to use those technologies.
That's amazing. So in such a short period of time. So kind of to go back a little bit. So where did you live at in Tampa? Like which area? Because I'm currently in Wesley Chapel. That's where I live at.
Okay. I used to live in Dover, Florida. So think of kind of the Valrico Brandon area.
Okay.
You go like
gotcha.
3 miles east of it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty familiar. So I've been here for about 7 years. I love the area. I'm from Buffalo originally, so I'm not going back to the snow. So you get 1 week of winter here, and that's it. I love it. But no, Texas. So I actually know a lot of people who have made that migration. It seems to be just exploding tech-wise, right? You have Miami, you have the Dallas area, and a few others. I know Georgia's also starting to also bubble up, and then Atlanta, of course, is crazy, right? When it comes to tech. So being out there now, have you seen any like the major growth, right? Because you said you came out during the COVID era which was rough on everybody, right? I was still active during that time. So I was stuck here in the house because we couldn't even go on base during COVID for like the first couple months because everybody was just panicked, right?
Yeah.
So making that move during the pandemic, like how was that for starting a new job basically?
It was one of the hardest things I've had to do in my life, I would say, because I've lived at home with my parents for all my life, right? I went to college at USF, so I just drove 17 miles away from my house to go to college, right? So I still lived with home to save money. Um,
See, I need you to talk
that
to my kids. I'm trying to get them to do that now. Like I got
it,
two high schoolers. I'm like, don't leave.
I would highly suggest them going to
Don't use
HTC
the
and going to
money.
USF. Yeah, I saved a lot of money that way. It was hard though. This is the first time living by myself. I lived 9 states away from all my family. Like I don't have any family in Dallas at all or Texas.
Gotcha.
Nobody. It's just literally me. So it was a really big change for me. But I wanted the chance to actually like really grow myself personally and professionally. So I thought it'd be a great move for me. Plus, they paid for me to move, so I wasn't complaining too much.
Gotcha.
I'm young. I don't have any kids. I don't have a wife yet. So if I was gonna move, like this was the time to do it. So I moved when I was 24 years old. Now I'm 26. So it's been a fun experience. It was again because of COVID, it was hard to meet people, right? Because there weren't really like any in-person events. So I was honestly like afraid to drive like more than 2 miles away from my house because I was gonna get lost.
I get that.
So yeah, it was a fun experience, but I'm glad that I did it.
Okay. And what was the so you're coming out of getting your academics taken care of, and I know for a time there it's always the fight, right? Is a degree better, certifications better, is experience better? So for your combination of experience, education, and certification, um, like what was that like? Like what were your strengths when it was coming to find employment versus like what do you believe were your challenges?
So initially, I got in IT and cybersecurity, I would say back in 2018. So I've been in the field for almost 5 years now. It was a struggle initially to get inside of it. One, I didn't see a lot of people that looked like me, so I kind of had that imposter syndrome. Because I went to my first conference with B-Sites in Tampa. When I went there, I went to the main was it keynote speech, I believe was what it's called. And there must have been like 600 people inside that room or 300. And there was like 3 Black people there. So I'm like, all right, now I'm starting to see what the issue is.
Right.
So it was kind of harder at first, right? I hadn't seen anybody that looked like me. So like finding a job, finding an internship during college was especially hard. I remember I went to JC Penney because an employer called me about having a potential interview, right, for an IT position. I got real excited, right? So this was like my first big job, but I didn't have a suit or tie or anything. So I went to Macy's. It was at Macy's. I spent all my money on like a really nice suit. And then like 2 days before the interview, they called me and canceled it.
Uh,
Yeah, I was very, very pissed. But yeah, it happened a lot. So it was a real big struggle for me to actually get like a cybersecurity internship. So I worked at Publix supermarkets. Anybody lives like in the Southeast knows what I'm talking about. I worked in a deli making sandwiches, getting cursed at
just gonna
because the
say
fried chicken
they
wasn't
have
warm enough.
a really good chicken finger sub. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie.
Yeah, it was interesting time there. So I working at Publix, I consider it as a blessing because I got to work on my interpersonal skills and soft skills a lot. Because by nature, I'm a very introverted person, so I don't like talking to people in general. So that really forced me to come out of my shell, right, and deal with very interesting customers and from different backgrounds, different experiences. So that's what really like rounded out my soft skills. Because like Ryan, honestly, if you had told me like 4 years I'll be doing this, I would tell you you're lying or you're high. Like I
Okay.
could never imagine myself like talking to somebody like over an interview or something like that. So it's been like a really growth moment for me to take myself from that shy kid behind a deli counter towards like owning my own business, which is still kind of insane to me now that I think about it.
No, that's awesome.
But yeah, so I got a little off track. But yeah, so I started in IT cybersecurity 2018. I did the ReliaQuest boot camp. So ReliaQuest is one of the biggest cybersecurity companies in Florida. They're the official partner of the Buccaneers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, Boston Celtics. So I did a boot camp with them. I didn't get a job after I finished. I was still pissed about that. I'm a very salty person, if you can't tell. So, because I worked at Publix, our headquarters is in Lakeland, Florida, which is like 10 miles away from where I live. And one of the things I stress towards my students is to always promote yourself in front of people that you know, so they can speak on your behalf when you're not inside the room. That's very important, right? So I told my manager that I was interested in doing cybersecurity and IT. So she happened to know the head of cybersecurity for all Publix, right? So she walks up to me one day, and this is during the summer. She's like, "Hey, Kenneth, the director of cybersecurity for all Publix is going to be showing up towards our store in a couple of weeks. Do you want to meet him?" I'm like, "Of course, yes." Right. So she set up a meeting with me and Rick. He sat me down in the back office and we talked for like an hour. He told me some things he wanted me to do because he wanted me to be on the internship team next summer. So the summer of 2019. Because they already filled up that position, right? Because the summer already started. And he told me, he's like, "Kenneth, if you can do all the things I listed here below for you, I can almost guarantee you a spot on my internship team next year." And so I'm like, all right, I can definitely do that for you. And so fast forward 9 months, I did everything that he told me to on the list. I interviewed for his team and I get the position. That's kind of how I got inside cybersecurity. When he told me that, so they called me, I was at Chick-fil-A. I literally almost flipped over the table because I was so happy. Everyone started to look up at me like I was insane, but I don't care. But yeah, that's how I kind of got inside cybersecurity.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So that's where opportunity meets preparation, right? So you always hear people like either they'll say like, I don't know how I did it, or I was lucky or what have you. But it always boils down, at least in my opinion, it comes down to an opportunity did present itself, right? But you were prepared for it, and then that led into you doing what needed to be done to secure the internship. And now, not that much later, right? Like, so not to say you've only been in the field for a short time, because like you said, you've been either in it or adjacent to it or doing internships within it. But I'm thoroughly impressed. Like I look through your timeline on LinkedIn, and I'm like, man, this guy's flying to go from like you said, the internship, academics, to now working for a pretty large corporation and starting a business of your own. So like all the above, that's amazing. So I was like, this is a good one. I booked him before he blew up too much, right? I had to call his assistant to get him on the show. So, so I was like, this is perfect. So what was your inspiration to start the academy?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say like the biggest thing is probably like the gap I saw, especially at that conference. I wanted to bridge the gap as much as I could. That's why initially I joined Blacks in Cybersecurity after my internship at public supermarkets. So that was one of the biggest pushes for me to join. Initially, I could never imagine myself owning a business, right? I'm like, I'm not that type of person to do it. I don't want to deal with all that nonsense, right? But during COVID, ironically enough, because I was stuck at home with my parents all day and I couldn't go anywhere, right? My then CEO at the time, Michaela Barnett, she's CEO of Blacks in Cybersecurity. She pinged me, she texted me. She's like, "Hey, Kenneth, we're trying to set up some Splunk training. Do you want to do it?" I'm like, "Sure thing." I'm like, "Who's gonna lead it though?" She's like, "You are." I'm like, "Oh, okay. I can definitely do that." So that was like June of 2020. So I set up the entire curriculum, designed the class, designed the labs, designed the modules for it, and taught that class. And everyone loved it, which I was really surprised. I thought it was straight trash. But everyone's like, "This is awesome, Kenneth." I'm like, "Oh, you think so?" They're like, "Yeah, you should do it again." So I did, like 3 months later. They told me the same thing. More people start to join, right? I did it for free for like a year and a half. Then last year, when I did one of the sessions, someone said, "Hey, Kenneth, if you actually charged me to do it, I'll pay you." I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, let me set them that then. So I did it again, and more people told me that they would actually pay for my services. And so I finally decided to make the jump last year, May, actually. And that's why we founded ECA. So we've been in business for about a year now.
Got you. And then when it comes down to, I see that you're both a coach and instructor. So if you can explain to us a little bit of what the differences are and how, I guess that comes together for you.
So normally, if you're just an instructor, normally those are just class-led sessions. You don't get that one-on-one touch as much, right? So think of an instructor like at a college university. a lot of the times you won't get that personal touch with them, right? You may have a class of 50 students and you may not get to speak to your instructor. You may get to just to speak towards a TA or somebody like that. The coaching side, it's a lot more personalized development for you. So we normally sit down with all our clients, we develop one-on-one plans for them so they can be successful, right? And then we take them through the group coaching and instructing to make sure they're able to actually do all the hands-on labs. Any questions or concerns they may have for me, we're able to answer it then and there. And I also bring on other hiring managers and other instructors to help them out for any questions or concerns they may have.
And how long is the course?
So the programs are normally 6 months long. We meet every Wednesday night, once a week, and there's about 4 capstones. So there's about a capstone every 4 to 8 weeks. And we have different scenarios that we go over for them, and then we actually bring in the hiring managers so they can actually present in front of them. Because one of the things I experience is it's very hard just to get a job if you just directly apply on site at a company, yes. Right? Because you're just a name on a piece of paper. They have no idea who you are, what your skill set really is, right? So your resume isn't specifically tailored properly, or you're missing something, you'll get kicked out without a response. So what we try to do, if we try to bring in those hiring managers, and so they can actually speak towards the students and students can present in front of them. It does 2 things. One, it gives them a networking opportunity to actually present their skills, right? And showcase those soft skills, which is super important for any leadership position that you're trying to get into for cybersecurity. And the second part is actually to show off their technical acumen for whatever technical skills they're trying to show during that capstone presentation.
No, I keep saying the word awesome, but I keep using that word because I think that's a piece that a lot of people are missing, right? Because of what I believe to be a nonsensical debate, whether it be between a degree, a certification, experience, like which one trumps which. It really just depends on the situation, the opportunity presented to you, right? But like you say, once you hit the ATS system, it's either a go or no go. Like, and I feel that a lot of us have an issue in that not being able to get in front of a person and then get to talk to them, like you said, to present those soft skills, which will get you hired. So how do you find those hiring managers and then bring them to the program?
So a lot of it is through my personal network. I've been told that I'm a very likable person. I don't know why. I try to be myself.
A very humble person.
So people, I guess, are naturally drawn towards me. I guess because of the good work that I do in the community and stuff like that. So it also wasn't that hard to get like hiring managers that I have in my network that are personal friends of mine to actually join and help me out. And they really love what we've been doing so far. We've gotten 8 people, I believe, hired since we started. And I think we generated over almost $250,000 in new salaries for them. So very, very happy about that. So hiring managers are from various companies they try to build partnerships with. So think of Accenture, AWS, Expel. So we talk towards either they're a hiring manager or a senior personnel staff. So think of a manager, think of a senior engineer, senior analyst, things of that nature.
And what I neglected to ask you, so when you do the boot camps, is it, or the program, I should say, the course, is it hybrid? Is it mainly online? Like how is the classroom set up?
It's all online. So if a student is local to Dallas, like the DFW area, I'll meet them in person sometimes. So one of my students, Hazel Miranda, she works at Samsung now. I met her for the first time in person 2 weeks ago, I believe, at a WOSEC event, so Women's Cybersecurity, because she's very shy naturally, like me. I've been trying to get her to come out of her shell more. So I've been introducing her to some of the other hiring managers that I know at these events so she can get to network with more people. I take personal development very seriously for my students because this is a constant battle to try to improve yourself, right? If not, you get a job and you stop and you're set, right? You have to continue to try to improve yourself or you get left behind.
No, it's very true. When it comes to the partnership, so you said that you have your network kind of set up. I assume it's both personal, LinkedIn, things of that nature. And then when you bring in the students, are these students, what's the pipeline? Like, are they people who are within your network who decide to take courses with you? Or is there some kind of campaign? Like, how are you advertising to bring in more students?
So mostly it's done through organic marketing. Once we start to make more money, right, we'll start to do paid ads. But mostly it's either through word of mouth, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, like social media, things of that nature, right? So we do content creation 3 times a week. We create posts, we do podcasts like these, right? We do webinars on our YouTube channel, and someone may see that, then be interested, then they'll DM me or reach out towards my other co-instructor, Courtney, and we'll go from there to try and get them on board and see if we're able to actually help them out, see if we're a good fit. Because one of the things I found that not everyone's willing to invest in themselves, which you have to be willing to do if you want to get ahead in this field. So trying to get them to understand that every day that you put this off, you're costing yourself money, right? If you're currently making $20,000 at your job, right, and this new job will pay you, let's say $60,000, right? Every year you waste and wait, you're losing $40,000. But the thing is,
very true.
Yeah, but most people don't see it that way because the money's not directly in their hand, right? So they don't see the opportunity cost.
Is realizing the potential, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay. What are you worth, and what should you be working towards? If someone wanted, so let's skip ahead just a little bit when it comes to, like, everyone doesn't want to own their own company. I get that, but some people, like you said, may not want to or may not feel comfortable investing in themselves. For you, because of you were able to take like pretty big steps in a short amount of time, what were you able to overcome in order to own your own business? Like what, like basically what is the mentality of a founder or CEO?
It's a good question. Persistence, honestly, that's the biggest thing. There are days, I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, why the hell am I doing this? I make good money as it is. I don't have to put up with all this crap. A lot of days. But I always remember, like, all the students that I've helped change their lives, right? Took them from not being able to take care of their families or them being very unsatisfied in their career and being able to them have fulfilling careers where they can take care of their families and build generational wealth, right? Especially for people that look like us in our community, it's a really big deal. So like always remembering I am helping people is always like the biggest motivator for me to try to like build and bridge that gap as much as I can. Super important towards me. So those get me through the down days where we don't have any sales, right? Or I get rejected like 4 times from different students, right? So that's probably the biggest thing. Like having persistence is super key, and then having a good support group around you is insanely important. So I have like a team of advisors that I trust, right? They give me advice, give me guidance for how to run a business, right, and how to make it successful. So having those 2 things, I think, is insanely important.
Okay, having the like you said, the persistence, and then having a team to help contribute to it as well. So what does the future look like? So I know you said you've had the academy for a year. So you have a 9 to 5, or in some cases, like it's depending on what you do. Like, so I'm a consultant as well, right? It could be a 40-hour week, it could be a 60-hour week. It just depends on what's going on. Where do you find that work-life balance? And then how are you gonna move to the next tier, whatever that may be?
So my company is pretty flexible for me. As long as I don't poach our clients are Google, Microsoft, right? So they want to work with me, I'm gonna quit my job, I'll be rich. So long as I don't poach our clients, and it doesn't affect my day-to-day job, they don't really care what I do, right? So that's a good thing. And then balancing it is I set aside specific time to work on my business and do the specific events. And the other days are just off days and rest days for me. So having a specific structure, which my business advisor and business coaches help me to develop, makes it a lot easier to manage. Because if not, you'll work yourself to death, right? You'll pull 18-hour days every day, 7 days a week, if you're not careful.
Right, right. It's all about that work-life balance, which is something that like I think a lot of us struggle with. You also mentioned imposter syndrome, so I've been there as well. I get there, often sometimes, now as well. So that's always a challenge or a hurdle to get over. What do you tell your students, like when they are feeling and feeling that way, right? Like maybe they feel like they can't do it, or they can't accomplish this, or maybe they don't see a lot of people like us. in the room? Like, what do you tell your students?
I first and foremost tell them that I believe in them, right? Because if I didn't, I wouldn't have brought them inside the program. But there are some people that I don't believe have what it takes to be successful in the program. So everyone that I personally bring in, I trust that they have the skill set and the work ethic to make it happen. It's just them believing in themselves, right? So the first thing I tell them that I may be a country bumpkin from Florida, right? May not be worth much, but I'm like what I say, but I believe in trusting them, right? I tell them, going back towards like building your proper network, right? Having people that are supportive of you, that truly care about you beyond what you can do for them is going to be insanely important as you grow and as you scale up in your personal and professional lives, right? That's what I developed over the years. I've been burned a lot of times, right? As you make more money, as you get more fame, as you get more clout, people will want to try to pull you down or try to use you as a stepping stone for their own personal goals. So making sure you find people that don't want to do that towards you is very hard, but it's beneficial.
No, those are very true words. I'm glad that you. It's good to have this conversation. It's good for people to hear that as well. Like everybody's not your friend, but like you say, like from just meeting you and kind of talking to you in this conversation, it seems like you want to be helpful. You want that's what motivates you and helps drive you. So if you're a person who is similar to that and you want to help, whether it be you're already in cybersecurity and you want to kind of give a hand up, or if you want to partnership or you want to do things that help with your brand, just reach out, like build that network, and then try to just be helpful and give value, right? Like I'm not saying you should work a 60-hour week. I'm just saying if you have the ability to, like, I need to shoot another episode anyway. I saw this post. I was like, this is perfect, right? This is serendipitous, right? Because I needed to redo Ask a CISSP because I have not done an episode in over a year, and I have a bunch of guests lined up for the Ask a CISSP, or I'm sorry, for the other side of the firewall. And I saw your post, and I was like, that's a sign. I need to jump back on it. So like this cost me nothing, right? It's just getting you on the show, and then the same thing for you when you reach out to people. So hopefully, people who are listening can do the same thing, right? Because we're looking for more allies out there. So hopefully that stirs that. But so I want to ask you one more cybersecurity / work related question before we kind of pivot into what else you do, right? Like whether that be you go on vacation, unwind, or you play video games, or listen to music, or whatever. Like just to get a little bit more about you. If you were me, like the roles were flipped, we're doing the interview, what would you ask yourself? Like, what have you not been asked? Because I know you've been on several podcasts over the past month or so. What is a question that you would have asked that they have not?
That's a really good question. I've been asking too much. If I wasn't doing cybersecurity, so what else would I be doing in my life? It's a question that I don't get asked too much.
And what would that be?
So I won't say teaching because I'm technically doing that, right? Most people knows about me, right? If you met me like during my college days before high school, I wanted to become a chef actually. Before I went towards cybersecurity. The reason that being I love like creating stuff with cooking, right? And I love to eat. So cooking is one of my first passions that I have. Even after my parents, when I was in high school, the Food Network was always playing day and night, no matter what time. They got so annoyed by it. But yeah, I love to cook. So the reason I didn't do cooking was so my dad told me, Ken, he's like, I'll pay for your college, but I will not just pay for a cooking degree. You need to have a business degree, right? I'm like, sure thing. So I went to school for business originally. Then I find out how much chefs make. And chef will work like 60, 70 hours a week. They'll work on weekends or work nights, right? That's when everyone's out and about. Mm-hmm. And they'll make like 38K. I'm like, I can't do that, right? I'm a very realistic person, very honest person with myself. And I have a certain lifestyle that I want to live, and doing that wasn't going to afford me that. So I'm like, I can't do that.
Gotcha. No, that's interesting. So like I tell my wife all the time, it's not an excuse, but like when I see ingredients, I'm like, I don't see food. I just see ingredients. So I'm always interested, like people who have a passion for cooking, like you guys can go in there and kind of like figure out like, oh, I wanted to have this taste or this style. Like I legitimately have to look at the recipe 3-4 times. Like, okay, this is half of this is half of that. Like it's just it's like being like food illiterate. I love to eat, but I hate to cook. Frustrating process. But no, that's both a excellent question and answer. So no, I greatly appreciate that. So to shift gears a little bit, right? Because I like to find out more about people outside of their work, right? Because we're not robots. We don't just do cyber all day, and that's it. So for you, how do you unwind? Like, is it travel? Is it books? Is it games? Like, what do you do?
So for me, right now, it's kickboxing.
Okay, I didn't expect that.
So yeah, I've been doing it. I did it back in high school because the COVID had stopped. So I got back doing it year and a half ago. So I had a class today actually, which is why I'm sore as hell. But yeah, kickboxing. One, because I get to punch something right after a long, frustrating day, and I want to punch somebody and go to jail. So that's a way to let out my anger and aggression. Plus, it's honestly the best workout I've ever had in my life, right? I'm in the best shape I've ever been in because of it. And it's just super fun to do, right? It was literally, I remember when I first went towards my studio, this is last year, I believe, or a year and a half ago. And they make you do a 5-minute warm-up. You get 2 classes for free, right? And each class is about 45 minutes to an hour. During the 5-minute warm-up, I didn't realize I was a warm-up. They didn't tell me. They're like, all right, they're like, it's time for class. Now I'm like, that wasn't class? I'm like, are you serious? I was drenched in sweat. I was hopping and popping. I can barely breathe. I'm like, I'm in the wrong place. I can't do this. I'm like, I'm so out of shape. Oh, it was so awful. But like after like the 10th and 11th class, it starts to get easier and easier, right? It's always hard, right? But it gets better and super fun.
Gotcha. So a funny story about, so I took jujitsu for a very short period of time. So it was right after COVID was ending. And I have a good friend, Levon. He helps co-host the other side of the firewall. He has not been on for a while. He's on the West Coast, so it's hard to do with coordination. But when I was in Turkey, our time synced up better. So it'd be Levon, Shannon, and myself doing the other side of the firewall. He's big into martial arts. He's been doing it since forever. And he was like, you should do it. Like there's a jiu-jitsu class. Cause I kept talking about like, yeah, I'm kind of interested in doing it. You know, I hear it's a really good workout. He was like, you should do it. You should do it. So I finally did it. I lasted 3 classes. So what I learned was, I already knew this about myself. I like my personal space, and there's no such thing in jiu-jitsu. And I didn't know how much I didn't like people to sweat on me. Like I would like literally at the end of class, I would like have to get home. I got to take a shower because you're drenched in sweat, whether it be yours or theirs. It's very intimate. I didn't know that beforehand. Like with the different mounts and mount guards, and I learned real quick about myself. Like, you know what? If God forbid it were to go down, and they got me on the ground, like they started grappling, I'm just gonna have to die because I can't overcome. It's just is way too close. Like if I'm gonna be anything, I'm gonna be a boxer.
You get used towards it. You get used
I gotta keep that distance. Well, that's awesome. Anything? So okay, you like working out. You like to do martial arts. Do you ever play any video games? You watch like movies? Are you interested in like anything that's coming out in the near future?
So I'm a big Star Wars anime person.
Okay.
So my favorite anime right now is My Hero Academia. Season 6 just ended. Best season by far, best season. And now I'm watching Demon Slayer. So it's good. So like season 1 for Demon Slayer was, I would give it like a B minus, It was good, it was like amazing, right? And then season 2 comes out, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, this is an A plus.
Yeah.
So it really, they've taken it up a couple notches.
Yeah, so that's the one I'm addicted to, right? So I didn't get into My Hero Academia only because I haven't watched it yet. So like I've been told by numerous people I got to get on it. But I got this quirk where I don't like an anime that goes for too long, because like my gateway was Dragon Ball, and then Dragon Ball Z still going, right? Like it's never ending. Same thing with like One Piece, Bleach. I can't get down with more than like 3, maybe 4 seasons. It's like the sweet spot. My favorite anime of all time is Cowboy Bebop. I think it was perfect from start to finish, right? You get one beautiful season, it has a conclusion. But Demon Slayer might get me, because like I'm in I think it's considered the 3rd season with
Yeah, yeah,
the Electric District.
yeah.
Oh man, I love it. It's like it's God tier anime. Like it's perfect. I'm just like, oh, they're gonna get me, because I could see it going past 3 or 4 seasons because it's so good. Um, I'm just like, man, because the same thing with Attack on Titan, right? Like I really enjoy it as well. But I'm like, man, could y'all just land this plane?
They keep figuring out. They said the final season. Then
I
they
don't think
made
final means
each.
the same thing in Japanese.
Yeah, because 3 seasons within like
It's,
one. Like this is lame.
it's the final season. So
So like, this is the stupidest thing ever.
it just keeps going. People love it though. Like people are really excited for it. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get it.
yeah. I mean, it's awesome though. It's awesome, but I'm like, this is ridiculous. It came like 3 years ago. Like this is the final season. I'm like, all
Yeah,
right, we
you
finished
can't
next
say
year.
final unless it's the final. Well, I guess Final Fantasy, right? We're on like number 16. So I just don't think it means the same thing. But no, that's cool. Like yeah, I've been an anime head since I used to get them from Blockbuster. That's how old I am. So like Blockbuster had like a shelf that was anime, and that was it for the Western world. And now anime is everywhere, right? So I tease my kids about it all the time, because I watch it with them. But you could stream it, you can just get it readily available to you. I was like, man, listen, we had to get stuff shipped from Japan. It's crazy out here. But no, that's cool. So yeah, hopefully the next season will be awesome as well. But this was a blast. I'm really glad that you did reach out looking to find a podcast to promote your brand and what have you. I'm glad to have met you. I don't know anybody in Blacks in cybersecurity. However, I tagged them on every single one of my posts. It was crazy, right? Like somebody in their media manager asked me, I guess they saw my videos because I put them on various different like LinkedIn, Twitter, all that good stuff. He said, "Hey, if you add us, we'll reshare it." And I thought that was the coolest thing ever, right? Because I'm trying to get my podcast out there and whatever. And that was like 2 years ago, and I still at them every single time, right? And I don't have any kind of connection with them. But it's again, uh, is that putting people out there, showcasing them, giving a hand up. Like I'm sure I've picked up dozens of subscribers just from that ad. So I greatly appreciate them and all they do. But yeah, I definitely want to keep in touch. I want to see a year from now, right? Get you back on the show, like hopefully before a year, but I definitely want to get you back on a year from now to see how your brain has grown and kind of like what you're doing after the fact. So I definitely want to hit you up again next June. But if I can get you back on the other side of the firewall is our weekly podcast, and then if I get you back on as a guest host, I think that'd be pretty cool. So we'll see what we can do again before you blow up. Before I start going through assistants and all, I don't have that. I don't have an assistant. I do all my own booking. But no, I see growth. I see passion, which I greatly appreciate. It's one thing to be in this space. It's another thing to be in the space and be a person of color, because the numbers are just not that great right now. But every year I see more and more people, whether it be adjacent or people who I've reached out to, and I just see their growth, and I'm always impressed. I'm like, man, listen, a few years from now, the numbers will definitely catch up to the amount of passionate people who are in the field, and the pipeline is steadily increasing, right? Like you're part of the solution with your academy. Like you're getting more people in the door, and we greatly need that as well, just in general, right? Because as we like my podcast and news in general shows every week is some shenanigans. So we need as many cybersecurity professionals as possible out there. So thank you very much. Where can people find you?
You can find me either on LinkedIn, which is what I primarily use for a lot of marketing stuff. We have a YouTube channel, and I'm also on Twitter.
There it is. So, and you're going to shoot me all of your links. This will, like I said earlier, this will probably post the week of, pull my calendar out. So this will be next week. So we're currently shooting on Memorial Day. So this week coming up will be Aisha Hollins. She's actually in Dallas area as well. She's in Texas, but she is a podcaster, an author, a digital forensics trailblazer. So she is our co-host for this week, and then next week you'll go up on the Ask a CISSP, and then not in the hopefully the near future I get you back on the the Other Side of the Firewall podcast that if you want as a guest host. So we'll work all those things out. But thank you again for all those of you who are tuning in. I don't say this enough, and I always forget. But please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Please set up all the links that Kenneth is going to provide us as well. If you're interested in his academy in any respect, whether it be to partner, sponsor, or attend, definitely hit him up because he's doing some amazing things over there. And then hit us up every week. We have 4 episodes. So stay safe, stay secure.